So, my name is Andrew Ruiz. Um, I'm doing, just a read aloud and just kind of going over exactly what my paper is about in regards to the Spanish American War. I'm in this class, and honestly, I love the whole concept behind everything, but we don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to kind of just keep it short and sweet. With the Spanish American War, um, marked a turning point in the United States history. After dissipating in Spain in 1898, the United States decided to occupy the Philippines. This decision sparked a national debate about imperialism, democracy, and America's future role in the world. And the six primary sources by, Sherman, Lodge, Ames, Beveridge, Bryan, and Flower show both sides of this argument. Um, but yeah, let me just kind of like talk about it a little bit. Um, After the war, Americans were split. Some people thought the U.S. Should control the Philippines, while others believed it went against everything America should stand for. And I'm gonna break down like pretty much just what the authors were kind of just going over in clear, simple terms. Um, so the first report was from the Sherman report from like the 1900s, which explained what was happening on the ground in the Philippines. The report said that the U.S. already controlled many areas after early battles. Because of that, the authors argued that the United States was responsible for bringing peace and order. In all honesty, the main idea was simple, and we were already there, so we need to kind of stabilize the islands. That's pretty much what their idea was. So to them, occupying the Philippines was not about power; it's about keeping the country calm and helping it develop into something else. Um, with Henry Cabot Lodge, now we look at like Henry Cabot Lodge and who strongly supported expansion. Now, Lodge believed that the U.S. had to become more active in the world affairs, and to him, the United States needed to protect its business interests and protect the Monroe Doctrine, and that showed a lot of strength. So it was just kind of going over that emphasis. Uh, and then his clue message was pretty like straightforward. If America wanted to stay powerful and competitive, it needed to expand. And with that, I thought was pretty graceful, but I also agreed with it in like pretty high regard. Now, the third segment was Reverend Charles G. Ames, and so not everyone agreed, but Reverend Charles G. Ames spoke out against imperialism, and Ames said Americans should face the facts and admit that ruling another country without consent was just entirely morally wrong. He believed imperialism went against American values like freedom, equality, and self government. And with his view as simple, America should not rule people who don't want to be ruled. And, you know, that's, like I said, it differs from the other people that were kind of going over things. And my fourth segment had Albert Beveridge. And on the opposite of what Albert Beveridge was really trying to accomplish. He was one of the strongest supporters of the United expansion. So very similar, like Manifest Destiny. If you're like some familiar with that whole concept, Beveridge believed expansion was part of America's destiny, and he talked about the American flag never pausing in its onward march. To him, the United States had a duty to spread what he saw as civilization, progress, and American values. And, so like compared to the person I last discussed, is the polar opposite. And his message was that the U.S. was sorry, was meant to expand, and it was our mission to do so. Then the first person I mentioned was William Jennings Bryan, and now William Jennings Bryan totally disagreed with that idea. Bryan argued that imperialism took away the same independence Americans once fought for, and he compared the Philippines to like a young person becoming an adult, which obviously is frowned upon with a lot of stuff, but um, and someone who deserved freedom and not control. So his belief was simple. You can't claim, to support freedom and then take it away from others. It's pretty straightforward stuff. Now, Bio Flower, uh, yeah, so getting back to, finally just Bio Flowers, the last person I mentioned for the most part, revealed the darker side of the conflict. He wrote about harsh violence and torture that took place in the Philippines during the war. And Flower believed that, true patriotism meant standing against like the cruelty that was like behind it. And his work forced Americans to look at what the occupation really costs, and not just in money, but in human lives and morals. So I thought that was pretty neat. Um, Through and through, I mean, my essay was not too extravagant or anything crazy. But the bigger picture was this: in the end, the United States chose to occupy the Philippines, and this decision came from like a mix of like many reasons, So economic interest, our national pride. I'll say it again, economic interests. I mean, that's what we're really into a lot of stuff for. And it was a belief that the United States was, superior or more advanced. Supporters saw expansion as progress, and opponents saw it as a betrayal of American values. This debate really just showed a major tension in like the United States history. Um, and with that, it was just like a question of like, should America use its power to control others or stand by its principles of freedom and self rule? Now, the closing argument, nothing crazy. It's just the arguments from like Sherman, Lodge, Ames, Beveridge, Bryan, and what was it? Flower, reminded us that like the United States was just really divided, and kind of going back over everything. And at the end of the day, we try to stand behind our flag and say like, hey, it's for like the betterment of other people and like things like that, But it was just kind of showing dominance, but most importantly, for monetary value and economic interests. I mean, we try to say something else, but I mean, when it comes to this concept, I'm not going to say my own personal beliefs. It's just, hey, at the end of the day, we're not going to be able to get these things situated in or have those that structure behind anything unless we because you know is the by right of conquest, it becomes ours, and then like when you're able to do something like we're hoping to do something positive with it. And so that's pretty much just the end of everything. And I hope I was able to get all like the concepts like across for my video. Have a nice day. Thank you.